anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Get Sagicor School Companion Health Plan for as little as $2,540 per month. The time by Sagicor Life is
7 o'clock.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of Heart NSDA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Tonight in CVM News at 7. JPS customers face rising bills despite promise of reductions. Agriculture sector on the rebound post-burial, and Integrity Commission summoned by its Oversight Committee.
Also this evening, computer labs destroyed in fire at Bustamante High School. In the business report, a Capri report on increasing participation in the labor force. And in sports, Mount Pleasant prepared for police in CONCACAF Caribbean Cup. From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. I'm Stephen McHugh.
And I'm Carolyn Brown. It's Wednesday, September 25, 2024. Thanks so much for joining us. JPS customers continue to see higher bills. But what's the culprit this time? Theft.
Now, the issue came up in Parliament on Tuesday with the government revealing plans to engage external stakeholders to help remedy the situation. Ramon Gordon has more.
JPS customers continue to face higher electricity bills, with a nearly 1% increase linked to rampant electricity theft. The revelation came from Minister Darrell Vaz, who disclosed that in 2023 alone, JPS lost over US $28 million, approximately 4.3 billion Jamaican dollars, due to illegal extractions from its grid. This spike in theft has raised the portion of legitimate customers' bills allocated to cover these losses.
In the documentation provided by the OUR, it was outlined that the Jamaican consumers bear the cost of both technical and non-technical losses.
Is it true to say that 17% of what the consumer pays relates to the actual theft of electricity?
That's correct, member.
During Parliament, Vaz responded to opposition queries about what is being done to address the issue, saying it may require stakeholder intervention.
While we're seeing this increase of money that the consumer has to pay, we're seeing an increase in the profits of the JPS Co.
It's good to finally see you being an advocate for the consumers, I must tell you. Madam Speaker, let us be frank and honest. The situation is, based on the current license that the JPS has, they recover everything from the consumer. We are working with our partners, the IDB and the World Bank, to assist us in coming up with a proper holistic approach. But as the Minister of Finance and I have discussed, it is going to take significant amounts of funding.
That funding, the minister explains, will bolster the government's new four-pillar approach, focusing on tighter enforcement, energy efficiency, and enhanced communication. This latest revelation follows an incident after Hurricane Beryl, where customers, even those without electricity, were still charged for usage. More recently, some customers continued to report unexplained hikes in their bills. Vaz says remedies are coming.
There is a commitment to do so. It's a matter of finding the fiscal space. And at the end of the day, the consumer, each and every one of us in here, and who has a connection to JPS, pays the piper.
Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
And the agriculture sector is showing promising signs of recovery post-Hurricane Beryl. The Minister of Agriculture, Floyd Green, hinted at the progress being made during his presentation to members of the media at a post-cabinet briefing on Wednesday. Here is more from Britannia Whittle.
The sky is finally clearing for the nation's farmers after Hurricane Beryl devastated the agriculture sector on July 3. Speaking at a media briefing on Wednesday, the Agriculture Minister said the recovery effort started 2 weeks after Beryl devastated sections of the island. Minister Floyd Green highlighted that this was the fastest response of any government to a natural disaster. He said the ministry's mission is to restore agricultural production, pointing out that the agricultural sector has spent almost $900 million on recovery supplies post-Beryl.
This funding has been strategically directed towards the provision of critical recovery items, including the provision of seeds and fertilizer, restoration of livestock, rehabilitation of agricultural infrastructure, and technical assistance and training for our farmers.
The minister said to date, 630 hectares, approximately 1,557 acres of land have been planted with essential crops.
So thus far, we've been able to mobilize and to successfully replant 630 hectares, which is 1,557 acres of agricultural crops have already been replanted. And we focused on cabbage, tomato, lettuce, carrot, sweet pepper, cucumber, and watermelon. This has really, and if you go out into the field, you will really see what we saw a few weeks after Beryl, these barren fields really being transformed into now flourishing plots.
Adding that 14,370 farmers from St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Westmoreland, Trelawney, and St. Anne have benefited through the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA. Minister Green shared that over 10,000 packs of seeds and 6,500 bags of fertilizers have been delivered so far, with $26 million being earmarked for livestock farmers. The ministry initially established the Hurricane Beryl Recovery Task Force with a $700 million fund, which later received a significant boost with an additional allocation of $1.4 billion to provide relief for affected farmers island-wide. Britannia Whittle, CVM News.
The Integrity Commission is being summoned by its Oversight Committee to answer questions about the special report on the Prime Minister's statutory declarations. Now, the plot thickens as the opposition makes further calls for the Prime Minister's resignation as he remains the subject of scrutiny. Courtney Lewis tells us more.
Amid swirling controversies surrounding the Integrity Commission's latest report into Prime Minister Andrew Holness's statutory declarations, the IC's commissioners are being summoned to answer questions on procedure. That comes as Labour Minister Pernell Charles Jr. ramps up his defence of Holness, calling suggestions for further inquiry a witch hunt.
Jamaicans are fool enough. Jamaicans are not foolish people. And Jamaicans are asking the questions as to why these things are being brought up now. Why is it that the matter is being handled this way? Why is it that you're spending so much time to treat with issues that you have said you don't have the evidence to move forward?
Speaking on CVM News at noon Wednesday, Charles Jr. sought to redirect suspicion to members of the opposition ranks, who yesterday had a motion for further investigations shut down by government majority.
What many persons are trying to do is to use the investigation as a way of destroying the reputation of the declarant, who has gone through the most extensive investigation. And because the goal is not to have justice or to have an investigation and a ruling, the goal is to destroy the man. They haven't achieved the goal, so they will continue and continue until it reaches that level. I'm not going to have that.
Charles Jr., like others in government, defends the move to quash the opposition's motion, concluding the matter has already been settled. He is bullish in his claims of innocence and is unyielding in his quest to see the Prime Minister vindicated.
The Integrity Commission has told us that they have completed their investigation. There's only one matter that was submitted to the Director of Corruption and Prosecution, and that matter, the final evaluation led to the conclusion that there should be no charges laid.
In a release Wednesday, opposition leader Mark Golding called for the Prime Minister to step down as investigations persist. The opposition states the attacks on the IC represent a blatant attempt to undermine the authority of a critical anti-corruption body tasked with ensuring transparency and accountability in government. Nonetheless, the Labour Minister says
there is no effort to block investigation. There's no effort to block any cooperation. What we have to do is maintain the integrity of this investigation at another stage, I welcome the conversation. I welcome the debate on the substance. Believe me, I am waiting because it will give me an opportunity to remind Jamaica of why we have reached here, remind Jamaica of the efforts of this government to ensure that this institution is strengthened, and remind Jamaica that we are all here to make sure that it is the country that wins.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
The government has honored its commitment to extend public transport services to students living in rural Jamaica. In the first instance, 9 routes have been added to Montego Bay St. James with the intention to expand further.
Teachers, students and staff from the Hopewell High, Irwin High, Mushet High and Spot Valley High can now use public transportation to their respective schools and back. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, 9 school routes are now served within rural Jamaica by the Montego Bay Metro fleet. Mr. Speaker, it's important to note that there are other schools in Montego Bay that are also benefiting greatly from the expansion. These include Mount Alvernia High School, Herbert Morrison High School, Montego Bay High, Montego Bay Community College, and St. James High. That's 14 schools onboarding to the public transportation system as a result of the efforts of this administration. The ministry has been consistently using a data-driven, hands-on approach to meet the challenges faced by the commuters, and I can say it without fear of contradiction that this year's back-to-school deployment of buses have been one of the most effective and seamless in recent history.
Lots more to come here on CVM News at 7 in a moment.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of Heart and Estate Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Yeah man, make some noise because Burger King Double Deal Pick 2 is back to $16.50 and get 2 whole of Burger King combo. Is a win-win. Pick 2 combos. Whopper Junior Cheese with bacon, American Chicken Sandwich or Big Fish Sandwich combo for only $16.50. Spend 1 money, win 2 times. Food for me, I'm a party, or just for me. Cause me hungry right now. Myself and I go hungry later. You see it? 1 money, 2 food. Makes it. 1 money, 2 food. Win-win. Burger King Double Deal Pick 2.
Ray and nigga, feel we culture, yo.
New beginning, we winning, so share our spirit where you living, yeah.
Share it.
I make we all a one bar, you don't know we come from far.
From far, anytime we rep, feel we country. Rear rum, it have to come with me.
No matter with the bad vibes.
Poor rear rum, a celebration time. Rear rum.
I feel we culture.
Rear rum.
Make we show ya Jamaican culture.
And if you overproof from we just have to do it to we culture.
Can you read to me the nameplate?
Judge Ebony K. Williams.
So the only thing that matters in this particular courtroom is how I see it. I'm going to find in favor of the plaintiff to the tune of $3,200.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday, courtesy of...
Your love lives on with life insurance from Sagicor.
Welcome back. Family members and friends of a former Veer Technical High School student are this evening grieving after learning of the death of a peer. The Ministry of Education has intervened. However, it's still a hard time for family members and friends of the deceased. Courtney Lewis has more in this report.
Another parent is left mourning the death of their child following a road fatality in Clarendon on Tuesday. It is understood that after leaving school on Tuesday, sometime after 4 p.m., the Veer Technical High School student was attempting to cross the Kemps Hill main road after exiting a vehicle. While trying to make her way to the other side of the road, she allegedly walked into the path of a blue 2005 Toyota Hiace bus traveling in the opposite direction. The 12-year-old first former Marla Richards was rushed to the Lionel Town Hospital where she was pronounced dead. Our news team spoke with the school's principal, O'Neill Lewin, who has been in dialogue with the child's family. He says Marla's sister, who is also a student at the institution, has been left traumatized by the incident.
Now, this student has a sister who is actually in upper school, and she has not been taking it well either. So when I went to the hospital yesterday afternoon, the entire community was devastated, including that sister. And, she has been uttering sentiments that it doesn't make sense she return to school because they would have traveled together. But, incidentally, that sister was not with her yesterday afternoon when she went home.
He explained that the Education Ministry has been providing grief counseling to the students at the school, especially Marla's classmates. Mr. Lewin suggests reinstating JUTC buses along the school route as a potential solution to road fatalities involving school children.
One of the solutions which we have to look at is trying to get back to the days when we had the JUTC buses rolling in this direction, right? That has been discontinued, but I hear the Minister of Transportation say that he's looking into actually bringing back that on stream, and that would be a big part of the solution.
This accident brings the number of road fatalities to 24 in the 25 days of the month so far, and 271 overall since the start of the year. Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
Also in Clarendon, another school is left to pick up the pieces after fire ravaged the institution and left a section completely destroyed. The principal is concerned about the impact on students with upcoming examinations. More from Trisha Gay Kelly.
2 computer labs at the Bustamante High School in Clarendon were destroyed early Tuesday morning following a fire at the institution. CVM News understands that around 2 a.m., fire was seen coming from the school. The Maypen Fire Brigade was alerted, who later had the fire extinguished. According to the school's principal, Wayne Evans, an electrical issue was said to have been the cause of the fire. Evans said the students, especially those who are expected to sit their CSEC examinations soon, will be at a disadvantage.
Our students, grade 10, 11, they are doing their program now, CSEC program. And having the computers available in the lab to do their SBAs and to do their practice. For the teachers to do demonstration with them is going to be a problem. For lower school, we do teach them IT also. They are going to be seriously impacted. And the fact that the students we have, they need a lot of practical experience. We won't be able at this time to give them that. So that will impact their learning ability.
But while the school spirit has been dampened by the losses sustained, Mr. Evans encouraged the members of the community to rally around the students.
We are hoping that person will come on board and help us to say to our children and our parents, we care, we want to rally around you, we want to uplift you. Because our students for this area, really we are suffering an economic problem, and whatever we can do to advance their education, it will be good for their economic development.
Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
At least one member of the diaspora is giving back to her country. The Lorraine J. Smith Foundation has adopted the Montego Bay Fire Station to provide training and equipment and to collaborate with the JFB chaplaincy to improve mental wellness. As part of one of the foundation's projects, children of firefighters at the station were also gifted with tablets. The announcement was made at the Area 4 Firefighter Awards ceremony.
I take great honor in serving you, the members of the fire brigade across Jamaica. As I said before, I've given my entire life to the U.S., so I'm giving it back to Jamaica because I now live here. And so it is indeed an honor to create programs with you, to support you in increasing your ability to serve. When it comes to education, we know fire is the best way to fight fire is to prevent it, right? And so I'm here to help you do that, from the leadership all the way down to the very last person who serves across the island. I've made my commitment to do that.
The The Jamaica Environment Trust is continuing efforts to promote its campaign to keep the island clean. The agency has responded to many calls for assistance with garbage island-wide and today visited Bogwalk, the home of the Great Rio Cobra, to provide residents with new rubbish containers. Here's our reporter Trisha Gay Kelly, who was on location.
One of the main issues plaguing the Rio Cobra is garbage pileup. In a bid to keep the environment clean, the Jamaica Environment Trust JET is still promoting its Noti Up Jamaica campaign. The agency donated containers to surrounding communities in Bogwalk, St. Catherine on Wednesday. It's a popular issue in the town square, which many have converted into their dumping site. Residents and commuters are grateful for the intervention.
Yeah, it is wonderful, because, in the morning or during the day when the gentlemen them eat, them just throw the rubbish them all over. So at least it's more better now when them eat now, them can just drop it into the bin. So 100% better. When you see the garbage pile up and the rain come down, block up the drains and stuff like that.
However, they are concerned that getting the resources is just the first step. They express there could be hiccups along the way.
When the rubbish pan they put, nobody not going to come and move them, and then people left from them yard and still full them. You understand? So they really need some, every 2 weeks or every week the rubbish truck come and remove the rubbish. That's why this place full a lot of mess, yeah?
The initiative is to assist with preventing pollution in the Rio Cobra, a priority for advocates for the river's maintenance, Friends of the Rio Cobra. President Kestonard Gordon explains it's time for a change.
We cannot be advocating against the pollution by the backside companies, and at the same time we are doing our best to pollute the communities ourselves. So this is a practice that we are appealing not only to the citizens of Bogwalk, but Jamaica right through, right, to stop the practice of throwing garbage into the streets, because every street is a watershed area for a tributary or for a river.
The Noti Up Jamaica campaign was designed in 2015 to promote a cleaner Jamaica. Chief Executive Officer at the Jamaica Environment Trust JET, Dr. Theresa Rodriguez Moody, says the hope is to continue the initiative until the ultimate goal is met.
So this is a major issue right across Jamaica, and we are contacted quite regularly about any bins, recycling cages. So we try to do our part. We are not able to collect the garbage, but we're able to help the community in a small way to bag and bin their garbage.
Containers were placed in both the town square and in the Bogwalk Gorge for residents. Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
Stay with us. The business segment is next.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Search for its breeding sites and destroy them. This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Protect yourself from the bite of this mosquito.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Welcome back. Now to the Business Report with Joel Crosskill.
Lots to share with you in the business report today regarding current perspectives on employment. Resource courtesy of the Caribbean Policy Research Institute Capri, whose evidence-based capacity to capture insight into any caprice contained across a variety of challenges to potential productive outputs, including an array of adjacent studies in its archives, were more recently presented in its study titled Outside In: Increasing Participation in the Labour Force. Dr. Kellyanne Dixon-Hamill, UWI lecturer and lead researcher for the project, provided a synopsis of the results that indicate over 400,000 Jamaicans are currently outside the labour force, the majority of which are women.
So who are these 411,000 persons? What are they doing? Well, we have half of them who have said, we don't need work. We're not interested in work. That's going to be a difficult set to bring into the labour force.
The report finds that a further 23% are in school, 6% are retired, while another 7% are incapable.
And there's another group, 4%. 4% of persons who want to work but cannot do so because of care responsibilities,
such as taking care of children, the elderly, or the unwell. But though that percentage represents 15,000 people or just 1% of the overall labour force, Dr. Dixon-Hamill points out that if that number were included, GDP could be elevated by up to 2%.
Capri has done extensive research on the care economy. And our recommendation comes from there. The state should subsidize the cost of care by issuing vouchers to working and job-seeking parents for use at registered and regulated daycare and nursing care facilities.
Executive Director Capri, Dr. Damian King, invited today's BR audience's additional attention by couching the curiosities of the HEART NSTA-funded exploration in these terms.
We are close to what economists call full employment, which is you have as many people working as you're ever going to get. And the implications of this were brought out in a report that Capri published in March of last year called Growthless Jobs. And it shows how this labour market situation really undermines many of the assumptions that guided macroeconomic policy and how we need a new way of thinking about macroeconomic policy, and in particular, how we stimulate economic growth.
Despite the conclusion of the Capri report that few of the factors influencing the phenomenon are possible of remediation through policy intervention, the conundrum presented Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, Minister without portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister, responsible for information skills and digital transformation, with an opportunity to resume a possibly more difficult option that may have been written off in the past.
I'm very happy that we have this study today, because it helps us to think about how we get more people into the labour force, but it's not anecdotal. When I go around communities across Jamaica, I invariably see a lot of people on the corner, and they're invariably men who are, even though Jamaica has done fantastic in terms of our unemployment rate, we still see them in every community that we go into. We see these young men especially. And so it's important that we figure out how we can reach them. And one of the things they've said, I know they've said to me, and which we've had to look at in policy, is that they're not able to go to where the training is. They say they want to be trained, but then they say it's too expensive for them to access training. I went into one community and the men said, the Heart Center is over there and we from this community can't walk over there. And so we can't access training. And so it's really important that we have a lot of data in relation to what is really happening in terms of those who are outside of the labour force. And I think this goes a far way in demonstrating that.
Another unadulterated data point recently corroborated by Mr. Craig Peru from the Mona School of Business, that the average resident Jamaican is 30 years of age, might also encourage a more general consideration of what Jamaica's maturation may mean for those who have themselves been traditionally excluded from an economy that cares.
Some of us on the platform who will not be named and are male, would have taken the view that the failing of the educational system to properly educate and skill a whole cohort is not something that you can sort of change in a meaningful way in the short run. And what I'm getting from both of you is that that is not quite right.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crosskill.
And we take you to the break with a market summary.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Search for its breeding sites and destroy them. This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Protect yourself from the bite of this mosquito.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
We a big deal when we touch ground. Yeah, a KFC when we're pulling up. Anything for the taste of a KFC, big deal. The time by KFC is.
JN Bank Small Business Loans is linked to so many stories of ordinary Jamaicans and their extraordinary success.
We're very proud to have helped small, medium, and micro businesses come to life and thrive over the years.
It's a demonstration of our strong belief in the business ambitions of Jamaicans. Come, talk to us. Tell us your business. Let's start a partnership and let your business plans appear in real life.
Once upon a time, there was a girl named Kay. She loved to dance and play. One day at school, she got very ill, and Mom was left with an unbearable bill. It would be easier if Mom was prepared. With School Companion, 80% of the bill is cleared. Medical care for children is a must. For as low as $2,540 per month, make unbearable medical bills go away. Sign up for Sagicor School Companion today. Conditions apply.
Welcome back. We now take a look at social media.
So, what's trending in our local social media spaces? Keodi Sachel pleads guilty to the heinous crime of murdering 8-year-old Daniel Rowe and stealing a child. Daniel was tragically abducted from Brayton Primary School in St. Catherine. As the case unfolds, prosecutors are revealing disturbing details about the crimes, bringing to light the severity of Sachel's actions. Here are some of your reactions. At Diane Tanique asks, over man? At Althea Dolly shares, thought she said it wasn't her, and we would have soon found out who did. So what happened? She suddenly remember it's her? At Rosa Chill 5 pence, in a case like this, they should do unto her as she did to that innocent child. Like, I can't comprehend why someone would do that to a child. At MonaLisha_H posts, my question is why? At Prudence.81 says, she need for talk what makes she do it, cause Jesus man, she's heartless. At Coco_Coco Melon shares, justice still not served. The woman Pitney life cut short. She didn't get her chance on earth to fulfill her dreams. Can just imagine the pain her mother going through. And that's what's trending online today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV and CVM_television on Instagram. I'm Ronaldo Adams.
We also want to tell you what's happening in the region and international.
We begin with news in the region. In St. Lucia, as part of the goal to better align education with industry needs, the Ministry of Education is conducting its second labour market needs assessment in 5 years, funded by the Human Capital